I'll be trying to help people by fixing their car if they have an issue with their car. You know what I'm saying? They need to make it to work. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm lucky and I'm fortunate. I'm blessed.
So this is your talent.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So I want you hit on it a little bit, but I want you to talk about the Rita Project and what it stands for, first thing, and then just talk about how you came about it and let us know about it. I like it, man.
That's what's up. Okay, with Rita, Regg, anybody that knows DJ Regg, he's kind of a big deal out here. You know, he's from North County, San Diego, and I've been working with him. And man, probably about 18 years now, for a long time. And I had kind of stepped away from doing music probably around the time you're talking about, maybe between 8 and 10 years ago. I kind of stepped away and had actually moved towards just DJing. I was doing a lot of DJing. It's crazy how DJing works because people are more willing to pay the DJ than they are the artist, the rapper. So I started doing a lot of DJ work, and me and Regg would share gigs sometimes, and we always hang out anyway, and he was always trying to get me to start recording new music. And I'm just like, you know what I'm saying, I'm cool on that. You know, once the Soulja Boy thing hit a few years back, I was just like, all right, you know, man, it's a good time to clock out. And then, you know, as you get older, you have family situations, tragedies, things like that, whatever. And I ended up losing my mother to cancer, and I was trying to just, you know, stay busy and get back to work. And then I had my own little health issue. Ended up in the hospital, which is based off of stress, and had to be at home. And I have, you know, like I said, I still got my Pro Tools set up and everything like that, and just needed to get my mind moving again. So I just started. I had actually already recorded like a dummy for a song before all that happened, and Regg had heard it and was trying to encourage me to record more songs like it. And it was a song called "America Back." It's actually on the Rita Project, and I ended up just banging out songs, man. I was at home for a minute, and even having a best friend that's a producer, I was recording songs probably faster than getting tracks from, because I don't write to tracks. I've never written to tracks. I may have somebody that, you know, particularly if I'm on this song, that a track ready, and I'll listen to the track and go, okay, I get it. I can come up with a cadence, and I know the BPM on it. I'm just going to go out to my car right now and write without the music. That's what I normally do. So as I'm working on songs for Rita, a lot of the songs were acapellas. I was recording the main verse, the background vocals, building the whole hook and everything like that to just the metronome. There's quite a few songs on Rita that are built like that. And Regg would come back and hear the music, hear the vocals and how they're stacked and everything like that, and then he would come up with a track for it, or I would make certain suggestions, like particularly the first song on the album is called We the People, and I had sent him basically the voice memos of me, like, doing the cadences for the horns and everything like that or whatever. But Rita is basically, in a nutshell, it stands for Revolution is Easy to Talk About. And what it means is there's people that are like, yo, revolution is easy to talk about, so what are you actually doing about it? Yeah, it's easy to talk about, but what are you actually going to do? Or it means revolution is easy to talk about, why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we at least having a conversation about it? And I noticed that just on social media. People are shy to talk about issues of race, because they scared of what they, not scared, but they a little apprehensive because of what their supervisors, somebody they work with, might think. You know, or they just don't want to make family members uncomfortable. I'm like, yo, man, it's like family counseling. Nothing's going to get solved. The issue's going to remain the same if you don't, at some point, open up and say something. If you don't say something, you know, if you're scared of rejection, why? Why are you scared of rejection? Why are you scared of bringing it up? If you don't say anything, you're going to be in the same boat anyway. So the whole thing with me doing the Project Rita is just trying to get people to be comfortable with hearing and thinking about what's going on, and then saying, "Fine, I'm cool with saying something about it." You know, that's basically what we're trying to do with this.
I would say. So, what do you think about? Like, 'cause I was talking to my homie about this before. So it's like some people, they just don't care because if it's not affecting them, they don't care. So it's like I think that's sometimes the reason.
That's totally understandable.
Huh?
That's totally understandable. I think the root of a lot of what's going on, and a lot of our angst as far as black community is concerned, historically in this country, we've always been floating somewhere around 11% of the total population. Let's just say when they finally legally said we're human beings, which wasn't until 1865, somewhere around the time they came up with the 13th Amendment for emancipation after the Civil War had ended. Let's say we start off what we would consider people. We were 11% of the population as people. We've always been around 11, 12% of the population. So that tells you that the majority of the population doesn't look like us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The majority of the population doesn't share in our culture. You know what I'm saying? Our traditions are just different. So we always have this idea that racists are literally sitting there with white hoods on and robes on, ready to burn crosses. You could be complicit in racist behavior and a system of white supremacy. You could be complicit in that just because you lack empathy. How many times, if you're not a dog lover, if you're not an animal lover, and you see them ASPCA commercials with Sarah McLachlan and sad music playing, and they show the abused animals in the show.
In the heart of an angel.
Exactly. All that. Okay, if you don't care about animals and you see that commercial, your response is going to be nonchalant. You're going to pick that remote control up, and you're going to be like, oh, man, where's Seinfeld? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not going to care, and it's not because it makes you an evil person. That's just not on your menu. That's just not on your radar to care about. Now, when you see a horrible, tragic, what they call an act of God, those tsunami, earthquake, whatever, tornado going on overseas in Asia, somewhere, whatever, the average American is looking at the news going, hey, didn't the Clippers play last night? Or the Lakers, or the Patriots, who played? Let me go find that. They're going to switch to ESPN. Why? Because it's not that they don't. If that tragedy happened right there in the middle of Kentucky, or that tragedy happened right there,
or if you don't know nobody in that place, it's like whatever. Like you don't know nobody there, like it don't matter. Like
okay, now let's bring that down from a global view to right here nationally. If you're not black, if your daughter ain't married to somebody black,
right, it don't matter.
There's a chance that you don't really care. So you have to understand that's why there's been 90, 100 years between major legislation. There's usually a 90 to 100-year gap. Okay, 1776, when was the next big legislation that meant something for black people in this country? 1865. Maybe 1863 if you count the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't even free all the slaves. It didn't free the slaves in the border states, the states that stayed loyal to the Union. It only freed the slaves in states that were found in insurrection, the ones that had seceded. So technically, Lincoln didn't have any jurisdiction in those states. But he said, look, we're going to free the slaves there. So hopefully it'll help them uprise down there and it'll give us some momentum, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's 90 years between 1776 and 1865. Legislation comes out, you get the 13th Amendment, it frees the slaves. It really just changed the name of slavery. That's all it did, because you have people doing sharecropping and Jim Crow laws, black codes and all that. Anyway, then you fast forward from 1865 to when? 100 years later, 1964, you have the Civil Rights Act, 1964, signed by Lyndon Johnson, and you have the Voting Rights Act, 1965, which they basically gutted in 2013 because they took out the provision that allows for federal oversight in states, particularly 9 southern states, that want to change their voting laws to affect the outcome of elections. that would basically disenfranchise people of color. So that Voting Rights Act basically is null and void right now, and I'm surprised that it's not a bigger issue in our community, that there's not a bigger outrage about it. We kind of just let it happen. And that happened with a Supreme Court decision, because we have, up until Scalia's bitch ass died, sorry about that, up until he died this year, you had, it was basically 5-4 in the Supreme Court. And whenever it's leaning more conservative, we're going to have outcomes like that basically gut historic law like the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So we're averaging a 90 to 100-year gap on any real meaningful legislation that positively affects the black community. Why? Because this country is not, I don't want to say this country is evil, but we do a lot of evil stuff. Let's be honest. Our country does a lot of evil stuff, and the majority of the country is not willing to move on behalf of black people because it is not their concern. What we need to do is not be surprised by that. That's just what it is. We don't need to be surprised by it. What we do need to do, though, is we need to turn up our antenna amongst us and say, look, what can we do? Either we're gonna decide that we're done with America and we move on, because I've seen from Marcus Garvey to the Nation of Islam, a lot of black groups have always said we need to move on. But in my case, I think, well, you know what, we put a lot of time and investment here. I know personally my family has. I'm the descendant of this too. So for me, I'm like, no, you know what? If I can control my dollars in a certain way that makes them pay attention to me, then that's what I'll do. If I could change the music, our narrative through my music, then that's what I'll do. Until somebody takes me out, I have no problem doing songs that might piss people off.
So who is the Reader Project for? Like, describe the perfect listener.
Here's the thing: is I don't expect, and if you see some of the reactions I've gotten online, I'm actually over and done as far as the people that are listening to it technically, that go, yo, this is a dope project. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I'm flattered that people think the music is good. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing. But I'm more interested in what people are talking about as far as the subject matter. As far as, as far as having a real, genuine conversation about this project and what we're talking about. It's really written for the person of color that's like, I don't want to upset anybody, so I don't want to bring this up. It's really written for the white person that might be open to hearing, okay, well, what's the issue? What's going on? I don't understand. Boom, there's a few songs for you to listen to that's going to help you understand. Pay attention to this. It's really written for the other person of color that may not be black, but they're like, yo, but it don't affect me. It's really written for them to say, hey, look, it may not affect you right now, but at some point it's going to affect you. At some point it may hit home. At some point there might be that police officer. He may not be fond of black people, but he definitely hates Hispanics. And if your child is out there and that's the day they cross paths, more power to you. There's a song for you to actually hear that too. There was a lot more subject matters I wanted to cover on it. Once we got to about, I think, 14 tracks or something like that, I was like, I don't want it to turn into white noise. To be honest, I think we probably had one too many songs. I always want to keep it in the context of, let's keep people's attention long enough so they can really, listen to it.
All right. And then you was talking about the subject matter, so what are some things you're talking about in the album?
We cover so much, man. There's kind of a historical lesson in one song called 40 Acres and a Mule. I was blessed to have two friends of mine that participated on that song, 40 Acres and a Mule. Donnie Young and John Gibbs, who I, from the bottom of my heart, I feel like, and not just with San Diego hip-hop, I think just in general, those guys just being young in their 20s, they if they're not, they're the current and the future, and just for them to take time